Hello from the other side. Welcome to Total Disclosure. My name is Ty, and I am the host and creator of the show. I want to start off by saying thank you to every single person listening and watching on your chosen platform. Remember to go above and beyond by following and rating the show. It's free, and it tremendously helps us with getting to new audiences and helping with our algorithm. You can also help support the show by joining our membership on either Anchor or YouTube. For as low as the price of a cup of joe every month, you could be listening to ad-free content, gaining early access, and getting a yearly gift. Making this show is a passion, however, it isn't cheap. And this is how we keep the show free for you, the listener. Thank you in advance. Now let's get the party started. Hello from the other side. Welcome to Total Disclosure.
Make a blanket statement to cover the entire UFO phenomenon over the past 20 years.
All right, welcome to Total Disclosure here on YouTube, where we explore the mysteries of the unknown, from sightings to conspiracy theories. We dive deep into the unexplained occurrences in our skies and on the ground. If you are intrigued by the possibility of extraterrestrial life and even it visiting this planet, then you're in the right fucking place. And tonight, do we have a story to tell you? I am joined by some of my favorite people from the community, and we're going to have a great little discussion. We're a little bit behind. I'm sorry about that, but it is what it is. Technical difficulties on my side. So let's get everyone introduced. I see our special guest is already here, so we're going to go right in. Guys, no time for introductions. So Tom, Shane, Astral, what's going on, everybody?
Greetings, my friend.
Greetings from the...
What's going on?
And by the way, that little intro soundbite, didn't realize it was on a loop, so it started to play again, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what a production, what a production. Today Tom, what's our main topic of the day?
One of my absolute favorite topics, and all of ufology, and that is alien abduction.
So there was some breaking news. Not breaking news. I don't know if you want to call it breaking news.
I'd call it that. It's right there.
But yeah, someone who, so everyone knows Jake Christopher King. We'll play the clip, but they started talking about, now maybe you want to explain it, Tom?
So apparently he's been in contact with an insider. Shout out to Brian Johnson. He explained everything very well last night in a space that I happened to pop into while I was just kind of working on some of my own YouTube stuff. And essentially, Jay was told by this individual, who is obviously remaining anonymous, that as far as this slow drip disclosure is concerned, as far as the plan that's been laid out by, I guess, the secret keepers, right now they've decided for some reason to take abduction off the table. They don't want that to be part of the conversation right now. And the individual who told Jay said that he and other individuals behind the scenes are furious. That's like the gist of it.
Well, listen, before I bring someone in, I want to say something. So, can you expect any less from a government that has hid the fact that the presence is even there for 70 plus years? I mean, what if they told you tomorrow that not only aliens exist, but they can take you from your house and they can't do a damn thing about it? That's the aspect that's why, like, Elizondo and Mellon. They won't. Corbell. They won't touch this with a 10-foot pole because they know that that's the part that's gonna. You know how Independence Day, everybody's running around screaming. That's the part that's gonna cause that.
Can I tell you a secret?
You're right.
You can really quickly, yes.
Nobody is going to take any of that. They're not going to talk anything woo. It's going to be nuts and bolts only.
Yeah.
That's part of that plan, right? And I know everybody's going to be pissed, but reporters don't even take reporters. You ever use the term experiencer in front of people?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a term that people even take seriously. I've seen Joe Rogan, Corbell roll their eyes at that, when it's mentioned. I can promise you, I'm the only reporter that's probably as woo gets. Just from my experience, I live a daily woo. Go for it, man.
F the government, baby.
Right on, yeah.
Tiff-tastic, right, thank you for that. We're waiting for everyone to roll in. But I have one experiencer with us tonight. His story shook me to my core. I couldn't even sleep after I listened to it. And I invited him on tonight, Mr. Earl Gray Anderson, who is the director of the Southern California.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. So let me get a correct background here. I don't have one for 5 people. But I do want to. I want to say thank you, Earl, for jumping in on this.
Sure.
Because I think your story and what you do in the community is so important. Because not only do you, because let's be real, MUFON has never been to even MUFON, the UFO network, the UFO people, they even have a difficult time with the abduction phenomenon. So your predecessor, you're the protege. I think I was the first one to call you that, of Kathleen Marden, the niece of Betty and Barney Hill. You are part of the Experiencer Resource Team, which directly handles abduction cases for that wing of the compassionate wing of MUFON. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, you're absolutely correct, and you're very. I mean, I was backstage listening to you, and I was laughing because you're so correct. I mean, the whole Arrow business is going to be into the nuts and bolts aspect. It's kind of ufology 101 is where they are with this stuff, and they're certainly not going to be telling the public about the abduction phenomenon. Although, I mean, what do they think that our visitors are here for? To do air shows or something? I mean, come on. It's not like, we're just here to show off this cool technology, That's all. We're just going to do circles over the Air Force base and show off and play cat and mouse with your jets and stuff. That's not why they're here. And I personally, now I've seen MUFON change over the last 8 years, and you're correct. When I first came to MUFON, it's when my wife and I had what we refer to as our weird week. It's very difficult for Lisa to talk about it, especially because she doesn't remember a lot. She remembers our room flooding with light, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's whole series of dialogues that we had. The third, there were 3 nights all together. The first night, I just kind of got the everything bagel of ET contact in one night, with the paralyzation and the Oz effect, where you couldn't hear anything external from our house. The room lit up, and then entities came through the wall, and that's what I experienced. And after it happened, the whole episode took maybe 20 minutes max. I think they worked like a surgical team. They took blood, they took energy from me. It was the little gray guys. There's something taller standing in the periphery of the portal that they opened up, or whatever it was. I'm pretty darn sure it's a portal, because there's no room to park a spaceship between our house and our
Your
neighbor's
bed.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's not
came
like
in there.
Santa Claus, right? They don't park on
Yeah, no,
on
they
the
don't
house
come
and
through the
come down the
chimney.
chimney.
No
No,
presents.
none of that. But I mean, when I could move and yell and react in any way, I was yelling and screaming, and my wife thought that I had had a mental breakdown. I mean, her reaction was, "Oh my God, you've joined this crazy UFO group. Is this the kind of thing I have to look forward to?" It wasn't until 2 nights later that she was shaking me awake. I was dead to the world. And again, our room was still flooded with light, no source. But Lisa was pacing back and forth next to the bed, and she was just kind of speaking in some ways incoherently. But the one main thing that she got out was, "Oh my God, you need to tell your little friends they need to leave us alone." I didn't sign up for this. And the third night, we both woke up. There weren't entities or anything like that in our house that I know of, but there was a light shining down on our house. And it was very bright, like God's own spotlight. And I'm standing on one side of the window, Lisa's on the other. And we were watching the neighbors' porch lights go on, It was just very, talk about woo moments. I mean, it was very, very weird. We both got a telepathic message at the same time. You know that people will sometimes get screen memories of deer or tall owls or something.
Yeah.
What we got was we got like a screen excuse, maybe just to calm us or something like that. I don't know. Give us an excuse to blame everything on. And both of us were standing there, and it came into both of our heads at the same time, like a voice, but not audible. "Don't worry, it's just the porch light. It's the neighbor's porch light." And Lisa and I literally looked at each other. We had a moment. I mean, we had both experienced telepathy at the same time, and we were laughing. And Lisa and I said in unison, it was like, "That's no porch light," because it was like God's own spotlight, and no sound of helicopter rotors. I mean, the first thing you'd think of is, well, maybe there's a police helicopter shining their spotlight right down on our house, but that wasn't what it was. Now, where was I to go with this? I went to my state director, who was he was very, very savvy about UFO investigations and the nuts and bolts elements, which are there. I mean, this isn't like ghosts or spirits or something. It's very physical. When the entities came into our room, I could feel their hands on me, and it was very
What did
physical.
that feel like?
Cold?
What, like, because
it was cold. Their touch wasn't warm, and I've when I was a little kid, they used to have like the petting, Sea World, where you could pet the dolphins, and that's probably the closest. I mean, from what I could tell. Now, in the moment, I was horrified. First of all, I was trying to communicate with them, and they weren't talking. I mean, I was using my mind. I couldn't speak, but it was almost like praying. I was sending the thoughts out, going, asking them to stop. And I was actually praying. I didn't know that they weren't going to, drain me of blood. I thought that they might exsanguinate me like one of the cows that you find, because I wasn't getting a message from them that, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. We're not going to harm you." I didn't get anything.
Right. Like,
so I didn't know what to
Terry
expect
Lovely's
from
story.
them. Yeah, Terry and I have talked at
Like,
length.
he was told specifically, like, "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you. We're going to bring you back." But it wasn't like that for you.
No,
Jeez.
it was all business.
All
Now,
business.
afterwards, I went to my state director, and he kind of rolled his eyes, and he didn't want to hear it. I mean, he didn't call me a liar or anything, but it was very evident that, he just didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to hear that his new field investigator had met aliens. I did talk to Peter Robbins a little bit, and I'd only known Peter for a couple of months at that point, and I think that maybe even he was dubious, because it's a weird story. I mean, most people, when they're abductees or visitees, it usually starts at a very young age and it carries on through adulthood. For myself, I was trying like a CE5 communication where I more or less told the universe, I said, I want to meet you guys. You can abduct me if you want. You can take my
Bad
DNA.
call, man. Bad call.
Never, don't do that. I would not. I would encourage everyone to
F around and find out.
I
That's
know.
the definition
Seriously.
of fuck around and find out.
That's
It's
it.
pure naivety, you know. But I'm
Um,
glad that it happened now because I know it's real. I mean, I can talk with people that are experiencers. I understand the PTSD part. I mean,
That's
the
the
first
biggest
night,
thing.
nobody believed me. My wife didn't believe me. You know, she thought that I had gone nuts. And who do you talk to? And that's why, you know, I eventually had a, you know, put a meeting together with Kathleen Martin, and I told her everything that happened. And shortly after that, I became a member of the experiencer resource team at MUFON. And I've seen MUFON open up over the last few years. I think
Yeah.
even a couple years ago, it was still a little, they didn't want to, you know, the ERT they didn't want to give us the big room or the banquet table or, you know, but now we're acknowledged. We have special events going on at the symposium. I'm running both of the experiencer workshops there, and we're doing an experiencer panel that Kathleen and myself and Sevtok and others are going to be on. Dr. Medich will be on it.
So this is the McMinnville festival that you're off to?
Tomorrow, yeah, I'm heading out to McMinnville tomorrow, which will be very fun.
I'll see you there Friday. Maybe I'll get the Thursday night, but I'll see you Friday again.
I
So
know-
are you going to contact
Shame.
after that?
I probably can't.
Okay.
I have to do after this. I'm doing the symposium, and it comes down to scratch.
I'm
Sometimes.
excited to meet you again. So
I know Astral has a couple questions, and I know you have a limited amount of
Sure.
time. So I just want to make sure everyone gets their dues. So Astral, if you want to ask your questions.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Earl?
Hey.
I
Bro.
wanted to know of the experiences that you are going through or hearing for MUFON, what percentage are abduction like is the first part. And the second part is, do you see the abduction as totally physical, or do you also see it as like a paranormal or psychic or out of body aspect as well?
Good questions.
That is a great question.
All the above on that second question. It's very physical, but something very psychological happens when you experience the Oz effect. And I've discovered that people that have a close encounter with a craft will also experience the Oz effect, which is the term that Jenny Rolls, UK UFO investigator, coined, where things become hyper quiet. Time becomes fluid and strange. Like I've had people say that, you know, they couldn't tell whether it was 30 minutes or 30 seconds,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And I think that, and I think that regardless of, you know, I notice that military people are sometimes more aggressively dealt with. That when they have an experience with beings, sometimes I think it's almost a test. I've had one guy who was abducted through the barrack ceiling of Camp Pendleton here, a big Marine. He was in Vietnam, and he doesn't have PTSD
base.
from that. Yeah.
That's in Oceanside, California, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was more or less threatened by his ETs. They were going to take his soul and all this other stuff. And when he reacted peaceably, and he started praying. And it was almost like instantaneously he was back in his barracks. They were looking for a certain reaction. I think that they're really interested in the warrior aspect of humanity, that we can be compassionate, that we are artists and musicians, poets, but yet we can, kind of go out and commit mass murder in an organized way, which is pretty much what war is. And I think it's perhaps they don't understand it, or maybe they're trying to get us to get past that part of us. I mean, our technology is way up here, but yet we're still acting like Genghis Khan, on a day-to-day
Absolutely.
level. And I think that maybe some of this is, the shock, the ontological shock may even be the main thing that they're trying to do, is to get people to stop in their tracks and to rethink their lives, to maybe get therapy or whatever they need to do. I know that Kevin Day went through a lot of difficult stuff. This gentleman that I was speaking of, the Marine from Pendleton, same thing. I mean, the guy went through therapy and a lot of stuff to get past all of this. But I don't know that he ever would have if this hadn't occurred to him. Also, regardless whether it's benevolent or a seemingly malevolent abduction or visitation, people are left with gifts. Synchronicities start happening for the person, which are like little miracles every single day. I mean, I experience it where I'll be thinking of an author, or I'll be thinking about something, and there they are in the grocery store, or there's the book I was thinking about is sitting in front of me, the next room I walk into.
Right.
Just meaningful coincidences is what synchronicities are. Intuition levels go through the roof. I speak with a lot of experiencers, and it seems like their intuition is enhanced to where they understand things about the phenomenon, or even just life stuff better. I think that I kind of got to upgrade, but while it was happening, it was horrifying. Somebody says that they live next to Camp Pendleton.
Yeah, Sam.
It's a lot of activity that happens there.
I know Sam and Adam, two viewers who came over from the pop culture side of things as well.
Mm-hmm.
One's in San Francisco and one's in San Diego or Oceanside. So that's why they came with me to the new channel, because they've, that area is so ripe with sightings and
lots of black triangles.
Yeah, which
up in San Diego area.
Yeah, which I just got. I just unveiled a video I was sent today. But
that's interesting. I saw it.
Which you're gonna take a look at it with me, with the witness.
Sure, we can do that.
Very cool.
I thank you for that. So I just wanted to ask. I don't know where Shane went. I think he just kind of fell out, but
oops.
The gray. I hope the Grays didn't grab him.
Yeah, seriously.
He's supposed to be coming out to McMinnville tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, Ty, do you mind if I wanted to also the first question about the abduction, if the frequency of it, because I feel like maybe before it was happening and people want to know if it's still happening, or the frequency that
it's happening a lot, but people were seeing less of the DNA collection stuff, less DNA farming, and we're seeing people getting downloads. It seems like I had one police officer who he was literally abducted from his cruiser while on duty, and he started every single night. He had these learning dreams where it was literally a little gray arm and a blackboard teaching him these math formula.
Whoa.
And he was a D student. He said when he was in school. With math, he never had a propensity for his mathematics. I can relate to that, but he was understanding this and he was retaining it, and it was about 0 point energy. Well, after a month, he had another experience, and they told him, "We've given you this knowledge, and it's going to be packed away now until it's needed." And yeah, I know. So the dreams stopped, the contact all stopped. And but that's more comparable to the stuff that people are reporting nowadays. It's usually like teachable moments and things like that. There's still some DNA stuff going on, but not like it used to be. As far as the frequency of abductions goes, it's the same. I don't notice an elevation or a diminishment to it. It seems to be this constant.
Right.
And I think, I mean, they're certainly not going to disclose this. You're absolutely correct.
That's
they don't want to talk about it.
So before
Jacques
we,
Vallée doesn't want to talk about it.
I
Seemingly.
know.
Yeah,
It drives me
never mind.
nuts.
I want to say
You know?
2 things real quick.
Mhm.
Sam, thank you for that $10 super chat. He wants to say thank you for your work, Earl, Ty, and
Thank you.
company. So thank you. Unfortunately, that will not be divvied up. That's coming right into me. So I'm just kidding. No, it really
So
is.
I can't stay very
$9
long because I have to go and pack
I
up
know,
and get
I know.
ready for tomorrow. But
I know. And we also got a new member of Top Secret, a Top Secret membership from Josh. So thank you for that.
Thanks,
But
Josh.
I wanted to ask you one last question, Earl, before we let you go.
Sure.
Bring me back to the night, that first night that you were abducted, and what was there anything like electricity in the air? Was there anything to signify that this day wasn't normal?
Mm-mm. It was just a normal day. I was literally downstairs closing MUFON cases. I think I closed a case that was our balloon sighting. I went up to bed. My wife was already asleep. I used the bathroom. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, or you would have wet yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And but the way that it started was the room just started slowly filling with light, and it wasn't coming from a source. It was very weird. At the same time, I was feeling calm. We had crickets in the rafters. It was an old house, and we always had like a little concerto of crickets going on. Perfectly silent. No sounds from outside. No sounds from outside.
Wow.
The TV was off. It was sitting in front of me, and light started spinning like a little galaxy in the room in front of me. It was 7 feet across, and it was kind of a sepia tan color. And then it was as if somebody poured cream into a cup of coffee. It just opened up, but it was light, and there was distance. And I couldn't see any objects in the background. It was just like, it was weird. It was just distance.
You couldn't see past the opening of it?
I couldn't see any physical landmarks behind
that's what I was
them.
gonna say.
It was just
like
bright
Mars,
light.
You know?
It was bright light, but it seemed to be coming from a distance. That was the feeling I got. Was that it was because and plus you could see when the critters came up. I mean, they were distant, and it was really dramatic. I mean, it was like they drew up to me. They didn't walk up. It was as though they were just pulled up on, like they were on a platform or something, and they just floated like a millimeter off of the ground towards me until there were 3 on one side and there was 1 on the other. And they took blood and energy, and they took a lot. I mean, I was feeling lightheaded. I was scared that I was, that they're going to drain me. That was my fear. I felt like I had invited a vampire to the house.
Fuck, man.
They say that if
bizarre.
a vampire knocks at the door, you don't invite them in. That's
you get the garlic.
Yeah.
You don't.
Crucifix, the silver bullet.
Yeah, you don't say, "Hey, come take my DNA."
Yeah.
But like I said, what we want to do. So Earl, I don't know if there's any way that people can still get tickets for McMinnville, but can you, before you go, can you just talk about what you'll be doing there?
Sure.
What it is and all that.
I'm giving a like an hour and 20-minute presentation tomorrow evening. I'm gonna talk about what I just talked about with you guys, because people kind of expect that, I think. I'm going to talk about my mother, who worked in a fisherman, and how I first found out about the UFO phenomenon. Did a disclosure number on me when I was 5.
That's a story in itself. And for anyone who wants to hear it, listen to our podcast that we did a couple weeks ago with Earl. It's a full thing, but continue.
The full Monty.
The full Monty. And it's a story.
Not really. I don't take any stuff or anything. But but then I'm going to talk about, after that, I'm going to talk about some of the cases that have stood out to me. And it'll probably be more family abductions. I've got 2 different cases where full families were taken.
Very compelling.
And where they experienced the Oz effect when they were in proximity to a UFO or 2 beings. So I'm trying to keep it so everything kind of segues from one case into the other. And we'll see how many I can go through when it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
I sometimes have to kind of hasten the pace up a little bit when I get towards the end,
Well,
But,
one of these times, I'm like I said, we already talked about doing some stuff in person, but I can't wait to meet you in person, Earl.
You too, Ty.
I can't wait to collaborate with you in the future, and I wish you nothing but the best in your presentation.
Thank
Are you
you.
flying?
Yeah, we're flying out tomorrow, and they're putting us up and feeding us, and they're really nice at McMinnville. So, and I speak on
great.
Friday night. It'll be
Well,
Friday night that I speak at 7 p.m. But you
That's
want to hear
great.
Sev talk, who she's going to be on at 3 p.m. and she's got an amazing story herself.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So, Earl, we'll let you get going. Can anyone purchase tickets for that conference still?
I think so. I mean, I wasn't told that my event is sold out. I think Travis Walton is sold out, but I'm still the new boy on the, so I think you can still get tickets for me. So come on out.
Well,
I think it's
years from now,
$25 a pop or something like that. I think that.
Earl, after our conversation with you previously when we interviewed you, I just have to say it would be worth everyone's time to come hear you speak for sure.
Yeah,
fascinating
Thank
information.
My girlfriend just texted me and said your voice is mesmerizing.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
she said
You have a good like radio / narrator voice, Earl, for sure.
Yeah. She's enthralled by your story. So
Tell her
yeah,
thank
so
you.
yeah, well hopefully she'll be with me when we come meet you and film you in person. So Earl,
Awesome.
Have a wonderful night. Tell your wife we wish you the best, and don't go inviting those aliens in.
Never
bastard.
again.
I
I would like to meet the Nordics if they're nice ones.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Those are the guys I'd kind of like to meet. That's what I had in mind. But they kind of traded them off for the little gray
I don't
buggy
think you get a
looking
choice.
guys.
Yeah, I don't think you get that choice.
No, you kind of get what you get.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on. You guys have a wonderful rest of your
too,
show.
Earl. Thanks for being here, man.
See you soon. All right,
see you
Earl.
Say hey to Shane if he pops back in.
Yeah,
we'll do.
We'll see you on Saturday for the UAP med meeting.
Very, very cool. Sounds
see you,
good.
Earl. Later, man.
Astro, you're up,
Yes,
boy.
sir.
You're up, man. I don't know why you're big. But
Nice.
we'll just all right. We'll keep it that way.
Earl's the best. Earl's the best, man. We work with him with UAP Med, and I think it's so valuable to be able to I think for MUFON to make that transition and add the experiencer report alongside the sighting report. And I think for an organization just to gather that data and to be able to support experiencers going through this is a big deal.
Well, that's when I talked to Kathleen, Martin, who founded it, basically what she told me is they founded that wing, and she had to go through hell to get it started because again, MUFON very much nuts and bolts, right? Sightings, they very much went by that whole, J. Allen Hynek, close encounter of the first, second, and maybe third kind, but not the abductions it was just never their thing. It was something that I'm well aware of saying, or I'm well aware that I've said it many times before. It's not that I don't think it's real. It's the fact that I think I'm scared to admit that it's real.
That's it.
Because if I admit it's real, the implications of that haunt me.
Right.
After Earl told me his story the first time, after he told me and Tom 2 hours straight of his story, I had and neither of you have been to my house, but a couple people watching would know, I had to go upstairs and sleep. I couldn't sleep. There's no windows in my bedroom. All I could think of was a portal opening up in
Oh,
my
man.
fucking room, and just I couldn't do it, dude. I ran. First time I ever really freaked out. And there might be something to do with that. I don't know. But so let's get back on track here. I brought Earl in because he's one of the best people to talk about this, considering he's been abducted.
Yeah. That's right.
To my knowledge, we haven't, us three.
No.
Tom thinks I have because I'm so scared of it.
I will say for the first time publicly that there have been some things that have happened recently that are leading me to believe more and more that I may have. I'll talk about it off air. I'm not really ready to approach that yet, but there was something that Earl said about the room swirling. I'll just say this. There's a very specific night that I remember prior to
Were
my
you
brother
drunk?
being born.
No,
No,
I'm just kidding.
God, I hope not. I was 3 years old. I was like 3 or 4 years old. Jeez, maybe.
His mom rubbed some whiskey on his lips to get him to shut the fuck up.
I'm calling her right after. So I was staring at a lamp in my room, and when he started talking about a light swirling like a galaxy, I have a very, very vivid memory of staring at a lamp, and the light at the top of the lamp started to swirl, and I remember being little and looking at it and being like, that looks like a comet. And it's like, I don't know why would I remember a night like that just all these years later? I don't have that many memories from that age, but and there's been some dreams that were really questionable that didn't quite feel like dreams. I've had nosebleeds, I've had scars in weird places. I have scoop marks on the inside of both of my thighs, and I've never had surgery before. So how would those get there? You know what I mean? So there's and my obvious really passionate interest in this subject seemingly since birth. So, if it's
Right,
buried in there,
right.
they buried it pretty deep. But I out of respect to other experiencers, I can't sit here and say that I'm an abductee yet. I'm not, you know what I mean? I have more digging that I have to do. But I've been having some weird flashbacks and shit to childhood lately that are being brought on by me reading books about UFOs and doing research. And so there's something there. There's definitely something missing. And I've had missing time recently. That I will say. I had it in my kitchen last week. I was standing at the counter watching a video. It was 2:30 in the morning. And the next thing you know, I take a bite of the Pop-Tart I was eating, and I look back over my shoulder, and it's 4:35. And I'm like, what the fuck? I had no marks on my, it's I'm not falling asleep standing up at the kitchen table. It was really weird, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that clip that you sent of Jay so we could play it. Jay Christopher King. But why can't I find it in the conversation?
I'm not sure.
Can you just send it to me on the private chat?
The clip that I shared on Twitter, right?
Yes.
It's Mike Colangelo, I think, shared.
Oh,
shout out to
that's
him,
what
too.
it was. It
He
was
does
from
great
Mike.
work.
Mike shared the clip of it. But that's the thing is so people from around the world. Now, your common abduction experience kind of goes, I mean, they sound similar in ways where a person will be in their bed, right? A person will be in their bed, then they'll wake up to either a creature or something, big black eyes, one of these beings that's typically described. Now, normally, just for the sake of argument, let's stick with your typical classic gray. So the tall or the small gray, it doesn't matter. So a gray will be in the room. Now, these grays seem to move kind of robotically, or at least that's my perception of the stories. They move robotically, and it's like they're just doing their job. It's like a
Yes.
job. It's a job that they have to do.
Yep.
They have to come get you, bring you to the craft. And typically, a lot of people think they beam you up, Scotty. Typically, that's not the story that we hear. It is sometimes, but most of the time, the person has a tremendous amount of fear and is then, like Earl talked about, eased into calmness.
Yes.
Everything goes calm.
It's almost like being injected with, like a sedative or something, right?
So, has anyone ever had surgery? Well, you said you have never had surgery, right?
Not ever.
So when they're about to put you under, they have an IV in you, and they put this thick white liquid, which is a combination. It's a perfect equilateral of benzodiazepine and fentanyl, and it's this thick white liquid that you watch go into your arm or wherever they have it hooked up into, and within seconds. That's why they say count back from 10. By
It
the
happens
time
very quickly.
By the time you get to 8, lights out. And it's like that for these people. All of a sudden, lights out. And then the next thing you know, they wake up, they're on a metal table in a what seems to be a very clean environment, right? So it's very much a medical procedure, if you will. That, I mean, again, we're talking the general gist. We're not talking every case, right? We're talking about the general,
most common characteristics. Yep.
most common thank you. Most common characteristics. These people will wake up, they're on some sort of form of a table. They're being tended to. They start freaking out sometimes. Most reactions are they start freaking out. Then the little gray or the gray alien will then leave, and someone else comes in.
Usually taller. That's a characteristic. There's usually like someone that's overseeing all of this. That's like in the corner of the room that is much taller, and sometimes it will be a being that is very thin. One of these mantids / mantis beings. Because I'll just say this right now. I decided I've been wanting to do this for a long time. My next video is going to be about the Greys. I'm like, what am I waiting for? I really want to make this video. I really want to go into detail. I want to literally get to the point where I'm talking about what people think they smell like. I'm doing the deepest dive anyone's ever done on Greys. I'm going for it.
Jeez, bro, that'll be a good one.
By the way, his Mars video. Woo!
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Woo! I put it in my So for anyone who doesn't know, I have a playlist, and I pick 2 videos per week from around the UFO community, not my own. And Tom, not just because he's a part of my show and the co-host, but his video made it in this week, along with infographics, 3rd iteration of the invasion. So, Tom, for you to be up there with them, kudos, man.
You mean the Lou Elizondo, the Lou Elizondo after, or the one that UFO Judas made of the people after? Did y'all see that?
Yeah, dude, we're gonna play that. We're gonna play that tonight because listen. If we can't laugh together,
right,
then we can't do anything together.
Judas and I were talking DMs the other day, man. Real nice guy. I told him, I was like, dude, you had Ty and I in tears.
I was crying. There's been times where I've been sitting at my desk over here crying, laughing, because the Come Sail Away video with Lou Elizondo, when Lou
the Greer Elizondo AI thing.
Oh, that was so good. That's what he and I were talking about. On the low, he told me everything that he was using to make those videos, and I was like, man, you're really nailing it. I was like, that was fantastic.
When just to pull back on that Greer one, when he's like, when Greer's like, what does Greer say?
I'm remote viewing your ass.
Yeah. Fuck, man, we gotta play it, man. I gotta play it.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, now you have to. You absolutely have to. Because I was like, you know what, man? I know I can make one of these, but it's I would have to think about it.
Hold on, let's get back. I wanna go through the characteristics some more. So these people, fuck, man. I'm remote viewing your ass. so bad, so bad. It's
Super
so
hard.
good. He kills me, man. He kills
He's
me.
hilarious.
And whatever side you're on, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it really
no, that's
doesn't.
what-
It's
that's what I was
great.
talking to him about.
It doesn't
I said,
matter.
dude, you're getting everybody, and but I'm pretty sure he's on our side of the fence personally.
No, he's.
but-
I don't think he's not. I don't think he is.
Oh, no, you don't think so? I don't know. I didn't ask him about it.
I think he comes from the
Skeptical.
skeptical side. But
Yeah.
hey, listen, I had Mick West on the show, so I mean,
Yeah,
you
and he was
know.
a gentleman. You know,
I have a controversial skeptical take on the abduction phenomenon.
Let's go.
anyway.
Actually, you know what? Let me finish this real quick.
Yep.
Because I do want to hear your take. I know that your take is controversial as fuck. So, and we keep swearing on this tonight. Probably already demonetized, but that's okay. Typically, we're a family-friendly show. On our show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, exclusive for video, is very family-friendly. If you want your children to know the truth of the world, that is. But tonight we're a little no holds barred. So typically these people will wake up on this metal table, right? And then they'll start screaming, flipping out. The little guy, the little gray, will walk away. Just walk away. And mind you, all communication is telepathic. Nothing is verbal. Not that I hear. By the way, I don't think I hear many times that it's verbal. And then this other being, seemingly the one that's in charge and not some sort of sentient hive mind AI, comes over and is more human like. Now I'm not saying they're human, they're
Nope.
human like. So they come over and they reassure this person that don't worry, we're not here to hurt you. We're not going to do anything, but yeah, we might take some sperm, we might take some eggs, but we're not going to hurt you. And then they shove a tube down your throat and it fucking hurts like hell.
And they flip you upside down and roast you like a hog. Like,
yeah, they don't understand that like getting a tube down your throat hurts, and it's I don't think they're giving us sedatives when they take us. So like it's it is what it is. But then the person will black out and then wake up. Typically, again, this is the most common case. Typically the person will black out after the immense pain of whatever comes next. Then they'll wake up in their bed, in their tent, in their car, wherever
Good
they
call on
were.
the tent, because a lot of like a huge portion of abductions in my research have occurred either in bed or at campsites.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the Terry Lovelace story sticks out immediately.
That's the prototypical. Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say this real quick. I spoke to John Ramirez. Absolutely not. He will not be doing any more podcasts.
Yeah.
He's doing one more podcast this year with Anjali, of all people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then he's doing one podcast after disclosure, which he says is going to happen before Christmas this year. The initial disclosure. So 2 things come into my mind. Either he's going away because he made a date prediction,
Mm-hmm.
or B, he wants to go away and live. I mean, he's retired CIA. He might want to just go live his life.
Yeah.
But he told me, he said, you can keep in touch with me via email, but I'm not going on that UFO podcast. I'm not going on UFO Garage. I'm not going on Theories of Everything. Listed a bunch of the biggest UFO podcasts, said I'm not going on any of them anymore. He said, I fulfilled my the yeses that I already said yes to, and that's it. And then he said, I'm doing one post-disclosure interview, and that's it.
Let's keep it real
So
for a second, Ty. Do you think he's BSing? Do you think he's full of it?
no, John Ramirez is one of those people that I don't know, something about him, man.
I agree. Like there's something there. Where
I
I'm
believe him far quicker than I believe Doty.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Who are both technically, I mean, they weren't the same job. So, John was CIA, civilian intelligence agency, where Doty was Office of Special Investigate, OSI. So, from the Navy, right? That's the naval side of things.
Mhm.
So that there's a difference between military and civilian. So
Right,
they
right,
come
right,
from
right.
two different worlds. So yeah, that I don't know. So I'm quicker to believe John, and John says 2027 we will know almost everything about the phenomenon aside from like the physics and shit. We're not going to know how to jump through wormholes, but he says that everything will be out by then. And he's going, I mean, Lou Elizondo has also said in 2022, Lou Elizondo was quoted as saying, in 5 years, we'll be having a different conversation. 2022 plus 5 years, 2027.
I hope so. I really do, because I don't like dates, man. We talked about this. I don't like when someone lays a date out.
I don't like dates either. But I'm gonna give John Ramirez the benefit of the doubt on this one. If some sort of initial capital D disclosure, and Bassett's been saying it too, and Bassett,
he has.
we have close ties to. So I'll get Bassett on here if I need to. And then we have someone else that's in the works that's still gonna blow people's minds when we get him on here. Get her or him on here. Fuck. What was I saying?
If we get capital D disclosure, which Ramirez, Bassett have been saying is coming,
then everything changes, and we all need to go back and we need to listen to what that guy said, like much, much deeper.
I took notes on a lot of what John has said. Now, here, let me ask you. This is something you both can respond to. How, what's it going to be like? Like, first episode post disclosure for us and people like us. Like, what do you think we would talk about? You got careful. What is that, Ty?
Something I'm introducing.
The judge.
Something I'm introducing to the show is the gavel.
Order.
Order in the court. No. I think the first show. I think our first show post disclosure is gonna have 1.3 fucking million people in it, because they're gonna come to us for answers.
That's a very good point. Very good point. They're gonna be like, you guys know a lot.
And you know what? You know what sucks is a bunch of people who are skeptics are gonna be like, I told you, I was on board the whole time. That's gonna suck. But
we can't be, coming at people that were skeptical too hard. They'll be like, "Oh, I get it. This is all like beyond our perception." But I'm not going to give anybody a hard time. Like Mick West, even Green Street. I'm going to be like, "Hey, you were wrong. I've been wrong before. Everyone's been wrong. Whatever. Let's move on and let's study this thing together."
Speaking of being wrong, I think Astral has something he wants to say.
Nice. Well, I'll come with the skeptical point of view on abductions.
Right,
is that okay?
So let's get back to the topic at hand.
Yes.
Abduction phenomenon. Is it real? Is it really happening?
I think a figure to pay attention to, and somebody brought it up in the chat as well, was
Tell me which one and I'll bring it up.
It was ADHD. It was about regressive hypnotic therapy.
Right.
And so that has been primarily what has been used. Excuse me. That is primarily what has been used for abduction cases recently, in terms of Bud Hopkins, David Jacobs, John Mack, to gather the information further and to get into the weeds in these abduction cases. Also, in terms of influence, you have to question the cover of Communion with Whitley Strieber and the influence that it had after the fact of these grays or same being types of experiences. I think one of the questions that I have is, after Communion came out, and aside from people who have researched this phenomenon, the 4 researchers I just mentioned, why are not because if the abduction phenomenon is happening globally and very frequently, why have people who have been doing regressive hypnotic therapy in general with people have not had these cases come up? Why has it been only 4 primary researchers who have gathered these accounts using the method to collect the data, and why has it been focused around the time where Communion has come out? I think that was one of the questions that I asked today. In contrast, the feedback that I get is that there have been abductions earlier, but there have been a lot of stigma that have prevented it from coming out, and there haven't been any real researchers. Maybe um, who wrote Trojan Horse?
Keel?
Yes, John Keel. Maybe John Keel or somebody like that has gathered the abduction cases or like experiencer cases. But before Communion, there hasn't been a lot of research into the abduction phenomenon. What I would like to see is more cases before Communion, before these 4 primary researchers looked into the phenomenon. What other evidence is there to show that the abduction phenomenon is happening?
I think those are all very, very fair points. And I know in a lot of like the notes and all my research that I've collected and whatnot, there's definitely cases prior to Communion, and there's definitely cases that have been examined by other, we'll say, hypnotherapists, for lack of a better term, but they weren't so involved in like collecting the data, and maybe they've only had a couple patients where it kind of came out. So it's like, this is information that's scattered that has to be like collected and put on one plate. So that's kind of like the challenge in this situation. But all your points are very fair. For me, the biggest thing though with abduction is that some people think it's like, maybe a hallucination, it's a screen memory for past trauma, like victims of sexual assault and such. But it's the only phenomenon of this type that there's physical evidence. There's a lot of it. And not only that, but there are medically recorded cases of missing fetuses, and there's medically recorded cases.
Those are the most wild.
Right. And scar tissue forming within 24 hours. That's the biggest thing, is that when you start digging and looking at the physical evidence attached to some of these stories, it becomes very ominous very quickly. Very quickly. That's just, and again, that's in my realm. But all the points that you made are fair, and I think there's a strong possibility that some cases out there may be a result of some sort of like cultural contamination, for lack of a better term, as a result of Whitley's book and maybe some of Bud's work and whatnot. But I think there's enough physical evidence to support it at this point.
I agree, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fetus one, I forget her name, but
I know who you're talking. I can't remember her name either.
she's in a bunch of documentaries where she was pregnant, and she was like, super stoked about having her kid. Like all she wanted to ever be was a mother. Got abducted, then got put back. Next day, felt like something was wrong with her baby. She went in the bathroom, checked everything out. Nothing was like visibly wrong, but she went to the doctor on like instinct, and the doctor was like, "You're not pregnant anymore."
I got to
Like,
dig up a case for you, Ty,
dude,
since you're bringing it up. both
I
of you.
want, no offense to that lady, I would need, it's not even that I would want, I would need all the medical transcripts. I would need everything to believe that happened, because
That's fair.
that is saying a lot. That's
Great
not just an
evidence.
abduction.
And not only her, but the case that comes to mind, I can't think of her name either, but I'm going to dig it up. There's a case of a woman who's pregnant, like same circumstances, and then she's not pregnant, but she didn't have any sexual partners. So like that's on record somewhere too. So it's like, immaculate conception. Of course, at first she was just like, well, maybe the test is faulty, blah, blah, blah. Then she goes to the doctor and like, no, you're pregnant. And she's like, I didn't sleep with anybody. And the doctor's just like, yeah, well, somebody slept with you. And then, the
I like
know,
how
it's
you
kinda
just said
funny.
that.
And the child was, the fetus in question was no longer present. I believe it's in one of Dr. David Jacobs' books, I believe. So I'm going to have to go really digging for that. But Control F, and I'll find it.
Yeah. So I mean, tonight's not going to be a long show, guys. We need to get, of course, we need to be more, consistent with the content on YouTube.
Commercial.
So that's what I was just going to say.
Segway.
All right, listen. We have a debut of a commercial for an event that is coming that Astral and myself will be at. Confirmed. Let's get it. Now, I don't know what to put on screen. All right, we're going to take a break, guys. We'll be right back. In the summer of 1947, the skies over Roswell, New Mexico, shrouded a mystery. An unexplained crash, whispers of alien spacecraft, secret projects, cover-ups, all chronicled by the Roswell Daily Record. This year, from June 30th to July 2nd, venture into the unknown at the annual Roswell Incident. Engage with top UAP experts like Ben Hansen, John B. Alexander, and even Nick Pope, former Ministry of Defense investigator from the UK. Curious? Embrace the discussion and seek knowledge about the enduring mysteries of 1947 and beyond. Visit RoswellIncident.com and immerse yourself in the mystery.
Was awesome.
All right, baby.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Man, that was
Roswell.
like so
Roswell.
80s.
Hey, I got a question. Did it like glitch in the beginning?
It sounded
I didn't
slowed down. It sounded slowed down just a tad.
Yeah, something.
It was
something
weird.
In the summer
I was
of
laughing the whole time.
1947, the skies over Roswell, New Mexico, shrouded a mystery. An unexplained crash, whispers of alien spacecraft, secret projects. That sounds better. For me, it doubled down. So, all right, I just wanted to make sure.
That was cool. That was real cool.
But guys, Roswell, the Roswell. So, are we calling it the Roswell Symposium?
The Roswell Incident.
So the Roswell.
It's based around the Roswell Incident, the 1947 crash.
Okay, and basically, I mean the speakers, are not just yourself, Astral, but Shane. By the way, Shane had
Real
to leave,
speakers. There's real
No.
speakers in there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
John Alexander and shit.
the three that were mentioned are obviously the highlights, but like Katie Howland, I'm just going off memory here. Katie Howland, Dan Zetterstrom,
Very cool.
Bryce Zabel. Bryce
Melinda
Zabel's going to be there.
Leslie.
Yep.
You should have, yeah, Melinda Leslie, Bryce Zabel. Bryce Zabel should have been in that commercial.
He
That
should
guy,
have. He was the next one that was going to be added.
yeah.
All the
I'll
cool
be
cats.
speaking. No, I'm just kidding. I won't be. But I'll be there. I'll be there. I talked to Shane.
Dude, it's
about it
going to be a
today.
great time. It's going to be an
I'm actually-
absolute blast.
I wish I could go.
I'm staying with Astral, so you guys are gonna get some fucking wild content just from
House
dude,
party,
I can't
baby.
wait-
House
I cannot
party.
wait to see
from
this.
that.
I'm so
Just from
jealous,
that.
though, man. I like on my behalf. I hope you both have an absolute blast. I'm very
Dude, we're
happy
going
that you
out.
guys are
We're
gonna go.
Ty. Just a heads up. We're going out CE5ing every single night.
Oh,
So.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Please
of
do
course.
this with him.
And just for my ladies, because I'm sober, so that CE5 is like a contact thing. It's not like a drug thing. I just want to
We're
let
doing
everybody know that.
CE-5. Like,
Yeah,
CEDMT.
Yeah.
shit, man. Woo!
No, but it's going to be an amazing. So people can get their tickets by visiting RoswellIncident.com. There's 3 bubbles. And you can it has the agenda. It has passes, and then it has there's another tab. I don't know what it is. I didn't look yet. But I highly recommend that you get your tickets now while you can, because this event, it's right before Contact in the Desert. People are going to be already out there or going out there. So I see them doubling down on both. And doing, I know a lot of people, a lot of the speakers are doing both right in a row. So it's going to be an amazing event. I can't wait. It'll be my first UFO, like true UFO convention. So I'm super excited about it. And I'm going to be able to talk to people. Shane's going to introduce me to some of the guys, and I'm sure Astral's going to introduce me to some people. So it's going to be a great place to network for our show.
Fantastic.
And guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Final thoughts on abduction phenomenon. Is it happening? I think yes.
I think it has been happening. Shout out to
Now-
Lily. I see you in the chat, Lily.
Now, I will say this. Is it our government? Not our government. I hate to say that. Is it some sort of shadow military psyop thing? Like
So-
some my what do they
Like
call
my
it?
labs.
My
So-
lab?
Yeah, it'd be military abductions. So it appears, and I don't know if they're still doing it. It appears that at one point within like the last 35 years, that on some occasions the military was drugging random people and then convincing them that they were being abducted by aliens. But apparently, according to Nick Redfern and what I read in his books, they were actually trying to get an understanding and like trying to wrap their heads around abduction. My labs being a thing does not mean that abductions are not a thing.
Right.
Like my labs were happening alongside actual abductions, and they were using it, to mask, experimenting with certain drugs, but they were also trying to like wrap their heads around what these beings were doing to people. So, I mean, it's a tricky topic. It's
It
not
is.
talked about a lot.
It is. And I think now let's say the military is like using some deformed individuals and drugging people and then taking them and inducing memories of alien abduction. We'll never find out. We'll never know.
They'll never admit that. Never.
They'll never
Never.
admit it. It would be so incriminating. No one would ever pay taxes again. And that's to my point. The government, if they came out, now it's hard enough that they're being forced into a disclosure of alien presence or maybe not even extraterrestrial presence, ultra-terrestrial, fucking, you know, all of the above. Time travelers. One of the haunting stories that I keep hearing is that UFOs are time travelers here to stop a nuclear event that ends up wiping out most of the human population and decimating the earth. And it's all been, that's why the advent of the nuclear weapon was when sightings not only doubled, tripled, quadrupled, but times 1,000, right? It would make sense. But there's
Would.
no evidence to suggest that's not the case. So again, who knows? Maybe the government is keeping a secret for a good reason.
Yeah, we've mentioned that many
Find
times,
out.
and I'm open to that. And I think some of the people involved really truly believe in their heart that that is what they are doing actively. And maybe when we learn everything, we'll be like, yeah, can't blame you. I feel like some people are going to have those feelings.
Yeah, I think so. You know what's gonna happen when capital D disclosure happens? That's what this is for.
That's the
Here,
disclosure
here.
gavel.
That when I get to smack this thing 3 times, disclosures happened. So when I smack it once,
Better put a hole in that table when it happens.
Oh.
I mean, whack that thing, dude.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah. This is a legitimate judge's gavel too, so it's from a judge. It's inscripted and everything. So when capital D disclosure happens, everyone, so each family is going to have to sit at the dinner table that night and have their own discussion. And the government's not going to come out and say, we covered it up for 70 years. But guess what? At that dinner table, each family is going to figure it out themselves. Right? And they're going to figure out the abduction thing on their own as well.
Yeah, they're gonna put 2 and 2 together. I mean,
Again,
I think a
it's
lot
all.
of people will.
I can tell you it's raining outside, but and you could believe me or not, but until you go look out the window and see for yourself and directly apprehend the answer for yourself, it's just
Some
words.
people will have to feel the rain too.
Yeah.
Take it a step
So,
further.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, abductions, I think there's just too many coincidences for it to be coincidence. There's too many people saying it, and people have tried to say, oh, it's sleep paralysis. Listen, I've had sleep paralysis. It's not that. That's like an imp.
Yeah, it's different. I've had it too.
That thing's like it's an imp where it like jumps on your chest and you can't breathe, and then 10 seconds later your body actually wakes up. That's the difference between your body waking up and your mind. No, it's your mind wakes up first.
Yes.
And your body doesn't.
That's correct.
That's not the abduction phenomenon.
It's very different.
Very different.
The time duration is drastically different.
Yeah, very different.
Drastically.
I know Astral has to go. Astral, where can they find you to continue the conversation?
No doubt. Thanks, man. It is on Twitter. You could find me. I mainly kind of reside on Twitter at _astral_, or you can just go to my website. You can find my page easy. It's theastral.com. That's the easiest way to find all my stuff is theastral.com.
And actually, Astral is currently working with me to roll out totaldisclosure.org. That way we will literally have our one-stop shop. No more links to Spotify, no more links to Apple, no more links to YouTube. It'll just be links to totaldisclosure.org. You can already go there right now and you can check out what we got. It's not cohesive yet. Like there's template stuff still there, but we're working on it. It's a slow process. We both have a lot that we're doing. So it'll be done soon, and I can't thank him enough for that. That's why we do things for each other, and that's what this community is all about. Is about helping each other.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. Cortex, Tom, where can they find you to continue the conversation?
I am Cortex Zero on YouTube. Look out for my next video. It's a very deep dive that I'm going to attempt to create about the Greys. And I am most active on Twitter at Atomic Thomas. Just changed the O's to zeros. And I own a small digital design company, and that is ZeroDigitalDesigns.com. My DMs are open. I'm happy to talk with anybody, have a conversation. If you want to share an experience, I'm all ears. Privacy will be respected. And I thank you all for being here. This is just so much fun to do these, man. I love Ty, I love Astro, I love Shane. Like, this is just like, I had a rough week emotionally, not to get too deep, but thanks for being here with me tonight, Ty and Astro and everybody else. This really helped, honestly.
Yeah, and so this Sunday, so right now, our episode with Mick West is up. It's up on all the feeds right now. Video exclusive to Spotify, like always. And coming this Sunday, our episode with Jim Goodall, which will be so Cortex and I interviewed Jim Goodall. I'm gonna forewarn you guys. He talks about planes a lot, a lot. But
he's a sweet guy.
He's an awesome guy, and you just give him one question, and he'll go for 2 hours. So, literally, a wealth of knowledge, and that's going to be coming out this Sunday. Next Sunday after that will be Science Bob McGuire and Layla Bright, and then the week after that will be Dan Zetterstrom and Vinny from Disclosure Team.
Can't wait.
That's a good one.
Yep, they're going to be promoting Phenomenology Season 2, which they just sent me. They just sent it to me to watch, so, or just sent me Season 1 to watch, and then they're sending me Season 2 when it's done to watch. So, guys, please leave a review on Spotify, on Apple, written, star rating, and then subscribe, become a member on YouTube. If you become a member, you get all the podcasts the minute they're recorded, while they're recorded. You get them unedited. And it doesn't matter if you pay $2.99 or $9.99, you all get the same stuff. I do that because it's basically what I think the channel is worth to you. So it's what you want to donate to the channel. I don't want to make it tiered. So one's better than the other. So everyone gets the same stuff. And we just became verified on Twitter as well. So if you subscribe on Twitter, same deal. I'll give you access to all that stuff as well. Let's keep exploring the unknown together, guys. We'll see you next time. Cover-ups, all chronicled by the Roswell Daily Record. This year, from June 30th to July 2nd, venture into the unknown at the annual Roswell Incident. Engage with top UAP experts like Ben Hansen, John B. Alexander, and even Nick Pope, former Ministry of Defense investigator from the UK. Curious? Embrace the discussion and seek knowledge about the enduring mysteries of 1947 and beyond. Visit RoswellIncident.com and immerse yourself in the mystery.